Good morning and welcome to part 2 of Wit and Wisdom at the Lutheran Home with Virginia. Virginia was our first guest. This is part 2 with Virginia. She has so much more to say, but we're going to do it in less time so that your ear is not exhausted. So part 2 right now, Virginia. And she has her pen on her shirt for autographs later.
Yeah.
Is that why you have that?
Yeah.
You're going to need them. You're going to need them, girl.
Not a bad idea.
So in this portion of our interview, I've compiled a list of questions from different people that I've talked to, and these are questions that they'd had for you. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and shoot these off and you give me your best answer.
All right.
Okay?
Fine.
Okay, so you were born in 1925. You are very, very old.
Yes, I am. I'm 96.
You are an antique.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you've seen a lot in your years.
Yes.
You've seen wars, recessions, you've seen a lot of cultural things taking place. You've seen a lot.
Seen the stock market go up and go down.
Yep, you've been there, done that.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you some things about the past and you can tell me what your views on them were or are. So, in regard to social changes and wartime, you remember things that had happened. So do you remember like the start of World War II?
Mm-hmm.
Pearl Harbor.
Mm-hmm. I remember exactly where I was.
Where were you?
I was in a movie house on Teutonia Avenue on the nice north side of Milwaukee. And when I got home, my older sister said to me, "We're going to have a war. Look what happened." And it wasn't look, hear what happened, because we only had radios.
Right.
And
what was your reaction?
well, somewhat shocked because I was in high school. I didn't think a war could start overnight, but it had been building. And by Monday morning, we were at war with Japan. It went that fast.
Did you know anybody that fought?
About 4 or 5 young men from our graduating class, when they walked across the stage, had their uniforms on and went directly downtown and were taken off to serve.
Wow.
And a couple boys that I would dance with
Yeah.
didn't come back.
That's really sad. That had to have been so hard,
That's sad.
especially at such a young age, to have something like that happen. And like you said, overnight, boom, you were at war, all the guys you knew were off fighting, and you had no idea what was going on. And during that time, so many things were going on with the country and the world that affected you personally. Like, things were rationed then. Do you remember what was rationed?
Well, sugar for one thing.
Sugar.
There was no sugar. And there was no meat. There was maybe meat at the butcher shop one day a week, and he had it all in the back room so that his favorite customers would get a pound of hamburger, and his unfavored customers, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any meat today."
Wow.
It was an unusual time.
Sure.
You made and you lost friends because there was not enough food.
Yeah.
However, sometimes people were able to go to the store and get canned goods.
Mm-hmm.
And how they did it, I'll never know, but they hoarded. And you'd go in their homes and go down in their basements. It was unbelievable how much food they had down there.
Sort of similar to what happened at the very beginning of this pandemic.
Yes.
When people were hoarding toilet paper
Yes.
and water,
Yes.
and they were holding it on, they were fighting each other in the aisles of the grocery store. So very similar.
Very similar.
Yeah,
Very similar.
Okay, and so you also lived through the Vietnam War.
Yes.
And you lived through countless recessions, but you also lived through some pretty neat things like the advent of television. Do you remember watching television for the first time?
Oh, I sure do.
Do you remember, do you have a specific detail about the first time you saw television?
Well, it was like being in a movie theater with a very, very small screen. It was more wood here and more wood there, and the picture right in the middle, and you had to pay attention.
You had to squint.
You had to pay attention.
The screen was this big.
Yeah.
What was on it? What was on the television that you saw? And did you think little people were inside the box?
Milton Berle, of course.
Milton Berle, Uncle
Oh.
Milty.
Do you know him?
I don't know him personally. I didn't know him personally.
Did you see his
But I
show?
remember his
He
show.
was a good comedian.
Yeah, sure.
In the end, not so good, but when he started, he was very clever and very popular. And he was the only child in his family, and there were a lot of kids that had this talent. And the whole family lived their lives around, oh, Milton is sleeping, be quiet, he's going to go on the radio. And
Whoa, Milty was special.
But he made a lot of money, so he supported the family.
Oh yeah, sure. What about Elvis? Do you remember Elvis?
Yeah, I remember.
What were your thoughts on that guy when he first appeared?
Well, when he first was on television and he would sing, I enjoyed it very much. He had a beautiful voice and he was good looking, but he spoiled his good looks by his gestures.
What gestures are you talking about?
From hip down.
You didn't like those? Exaltations?
Very suggestive. Very suggestive. And now it's commonplace.
Oh, people are taking their clothes off.
I
And
know.
what do you think
I
about
know.
that?
But on the Ed Sullivan Show years ago, when he first started that, he had a lot of criticism. But he was a good entertainer, good-looking man, and tragic death. Too young. And some of his music I still love to listen to.
Sure.
Yeah, he had a good voice.
So what did you think of the evolution of music from what you danced to at the Eagles Ballroom? Did you ever go to the Eagles Ballroom?
Oh, I lived there.
Yeah, you live there.
God,
So you do
yeah.
like the Lindy Hop and all those fun.
Every Wednesday night.
Did you have a dance card?
No.
You know how people say, "Oh, your dance card is full." Like, oh,
no,
boy.
we didn't use those.
Okay, but was that a thing actually? Was that
Well,
actually a thing?
Before my time.
So that was like a Victorian thing,
I would say so, you know.
way back before your time. But yeah, so you went to the Eagles Ballroom in
Oh, yeah.
downtown Milwaukee. You know,
The
it's still
roof.
there.
Did you ever hear of the roof? That was on 6th and Wisconsin. It was on the top of an office building, and there was a dance hall. Glenn Miller, Harry James, Tommy Dorsey. So you dance at the roof,
Oh, how neat!
or you dance at the Eagles.
I've never heard of the roof. Have you heard of the roof? Never heard.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have
that
to
was a
Google that.
Famous dance
That
hall.
is so neat.
Oh, and the only way you could get to it was by going up in the elevator. So that was kind of romantic with your.
Yeah, with your
Boyfriend.
bow, you go up to the roof. So, do you remember when that sort of music evolved into rock and roll?
Oh yeah,
What did you think of rock and roll?
I like the beat.
Okay.
I like the beat of rock and roll to this day, but I don't understand the words because I can't hear them.
Right.
And Virgie at our table
Yeah.
knows it all. The music, who's singing, what the words are.
Virgie's very hip. I know.
Oh, is she
Hang out
ever?
with her more. She'll teach you.
But the music, I love to dance.
You do.
Oh, yes.
Terrific.
And my husband was a wonderful dancer.
Aw, that's very sweet.
We had a lot of it. So play the music and I'll get up and dance. I went to a wedding reception when we were finished eating and the music started. Everybody got up and danced alone. No
Alone?
part. Alone, no partners.
Oh, you don't need a partner anymore.
No, you don't.
Oh,
And
you shake it.
that was different.
Yeah, so. I want to talk a little bit about family stuff. So, were your parents from America?
Oh, yes.
They were.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And they were from a different time.
Oh, indeed.
So, when they were raising you, did you have siblings?
There were 4 girls. I
Four
was
girls.
number 2.
Okay. Number 2. That's my favorite. You're just a big number 2. When they taught you things, what was the family dynamic like? Did you have set dinner times, and did you have chores to do? And Were they strict parents because they were from that time when children were meant to be seen, not heard? Not like today where kids sort of rule a household. They do whatever.
They rule the parents.
Yes. So what was your family experience like? What was your home life like growing up with parents who grew up in the early part of the last century?
Well, I'll have to start with the story that my father died when I was 9, and I had 2 younger sisters and 1 older sister. My mother was in her early 30s, and she raised us 4 girls.
Oh my gosh.
We had very strict rules.
Sure you did.
She didn't tolerate anything. I remember one time I was late getting home, and she scolded me, and I went to my bedroom and slammed the door, and she called me out. She said, "You're grounded for a month." She was very, and you obeyed her.
Sure.
You did what she said.
Right.
And she had to know where we were and what we were doing and who we were keeping company with.
Yeah.
Because she was doing it all alone.
Yeah, that had to be really hard.
Yeah.
It's hard now
It
to be a
is.
single mother, but back then, I mean, you didn't have any of the modern conveniences that you do now.
That's right.
You didn't even have, I mean, do you have an electrical dishwasher? No. Did
No.
you have
We
a washer
had an
dryer?
iron, though.
You had an iron, a plug-in electric iron, or an
Yeah.
actual iron that you put on your stove?
No,
thing?
well, we had that too.
Did you? Oh my
And
gosh,
you had to iron everything,
that's incredible.
except the Turkish towels.
Except for the what?
Turkish towels.
The
You
Turkish
didn't have
towels.
to iron
No, you
those.
don't. You don't. So that's interesting. Did you? So the company that you were keeping, that's an interesting question because I wanted to know. Do you remember who your first boyfriend was?
Oh, I remember going on a Sunday afternoon, supposedly, to go to the movies. That was a big thing for high school kids. The first time I was going to do this, the young man that came, and I went to school with him on a motorcycle. We were about
Oh.
16. My mother looked out the window and she came over and she said, "You are not leaving the house."
He probably turned out to be a doctor
Who
or a lawyer or
knows?
something, right?
I lost track of him.
Was he your first kiss?
Oh, I don't even.
You don't remember your first kiss?
No. I probably had too many.
That's the juicy stuff I was looking for. What is the riskiest thing you ever did in your life?
We used to be able to, at Bradford Beach, jump into the lake off of the pier.
Oh my gosh.
With no lifeguards and very deep water and a current. And,
That's risky.
oh, one kid would edge on the other kid, and you jump off there, you go down, and you better know what you're doing because you gotta pull yourself back up again. There's a terrible current
It's
under
terrible.
there.
That is scary. That is
Oh,
risky.
and I was, but boy, I had to show off.
So you did it?
Of course.
Of course. Wow. That is, that's crazy.
I did it once. I never did it again.
No, but you had to do it to show off, right?
To show that I could do it, that I was, and the way they egg you on, and it was boys and girls. You gotta show off a
Oh,
little
sure you
bit.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. You might die showing off.
But at
You
least
gotta
you
do
did it. They would
yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
That Virginia, she did it. How did you meet your husband?
There was a drugstore across from Jesu Church on Wisconsin Avenue. And when I was in high school and after, I used to do part-time work there. And he was a pharmacist when he went into the war. When he came home, he became a pharmacist in this drugstore. That's how we met.
And back then drugstores were not like Walgreens now.
Oh, no.
You could get all sorts of stuff at the drugstore, right?
Oh,
Even
yeah.
teenagers hung out at the drugstore.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Did the one that he worked at have a soda fountain?
Oh, indeed. And
With a soda jerk?
Well, that's what they were called.
Soda jerks were the bartenders
Yeah.
of the ice cream fountain.
But that's a little insulting.
Well, I was wondering about that. I'm sure they didn't like having to be called
A
a jerk,
jerk,
right? Especially
yeah.
since they're already wearing a dumb paper hat and a bow tie.
But
And insult to injury there.
that drugstore was on the campus of Marquette University. The clientele were young people. It was fun.
Oh, sure it
Yeah,
was.
it was
I'm sure
fun.
all the pharmacists love all the young
Yeah,
people coming
yeah.
in. Favorite childhood memory?
Well, when I lived in Philadelphia, that was pretty nice.
Your neighbors, Ben Franklin, would run around with his kite.
I had a friend, a boy, who used to sit on his front porch in the rocking chair. His name was Franklin. How appropriate,
I
right?
know.
But yeah, living in Philadelphia was a lot of fun. A lot of
It's a
fun.
fun town.
Milwaukee was a lot of fun too. That when we got here and started growing up and going to high school, each area has its story.
Oh, sure.
Isn't that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
And each area has its people.
Mm-hmm.
You remember this friend from this and this friend from
Mhm.
that. And good memories.
Yeah, good.
Good memories.
Who's the most influential person in your life?
I beg your pardon?
The most influential person in your life?
My mother.
Aw, she was a tough lady.
Well, she knew what she was doing.
She did a lot.
My mother was an orphan.
Oh,
She was from Birmingham, Alabama.
oof.
She was adopted when she was 5 years old. You don't adopt children. Even then, you don't adopt.
No, they're definitely
But
past
this-
the cute phase at 5.
This couple wanted a cute little girl and found my mother, and they were from Germany,
Oh, okay.
and they taught her to sing and dance, and she had a natural talent.
Yeah.
And vaudeville days, they made a lot of money entertaining.
Wait a minute, your mom was on the vaudeville circuit?
Uh-huh.
With your grandparents or just her?
No, the grandparents taught her to
So
be
she was a vaudeville.
She was the star.
Get
and
outta
they
here.
Taught her, but they were from Germany.
And I guess for the younger people viewing this, vaudeville was sort of the YouTube
Yes.
of that generation. It was a
Yes.
variety act that was on. It was live before television. That's what you did.
And all these small theaters and a small stage and packed with all these people. It was unique and a lot of fun, and made a little bit of money.
That's really incredible.
Yeah, yeah. But this couple, I can see him. I can't see her. They knew what she was the one they wanted to train and teach, and it worked. They
Interesting.
made money.
Interesting.
But vaudeville was very popular.
Sure it was.
Very, and not expensive.
I was going to ask you how much a movie ticket was back in the old days.
10 cents.
10 cents. Do you know how much a movie ticket is now?
No,
I guess I don't either. I haven't been there in years.
I haven't.
12 or 15 bucks, I think.
well, I think you're.
Am I right on the money? Up higher, because then you have to buy the concessions, which are more than the ticket.
That's right.
You got to buy a
That's right.
Diet Coke that's this big for
I don't-
$17.
Yeah, and popcorn.
And popcorn.
Can you imagine paying that for
No, I can't. For a
popcorn?
mediocre movie.
Uh,
Ugh.
no, I haven't been to a movie house in years.
No.
I
That was an
don't-
event too. You did that. My grandparents used to go to the movie house to escape the heat because it was the one place in town that had air conditioning.
Air conditioning.
So they would go to the movie house and spend all day Saturdays in the movies watching the same thing over and over again because it was hot outside.
And I forget what I was going to say.
That's okay. You're very old.
That's yes, I
old,
know.
old
Thank
brain.
you. Thank you for reminding me.
Listen, I think we're gonna cut it off here. We're gonna quit while we're ahead. I want to say thank you to you, Virginia. You are a national treasure, or at least a Lutheran Home treasure. But before we hit stop, I want you to say, because we didn't even touch on the Lutheran Home thing, I want you to name 3 things that you love about living at the Lutheran Home, besides me. You can't include me. So 3 things that you love about the Lutheran Home.
I like the people. I like the people that have always been in charge. I was a volunteer for a long time. I liked it then. I'm a resident now. I like the people. You can talk to them, they will listen to you. I like the food, not every meal, but I like the food. And the programs that they bring in here for entertainment are delightful. I like that also.
Fantastic.
How about those?
How about them apples? Well, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. And join us in a couple weeks for another interview. This has been Wit and Wisdom at the Lutheran Home. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for putting up for all 22 minutes of this and not hitting stop. Thank you and have a great day. Bye, everybody.